You know, I'm always late to the party. It's a give and take, and because semi-recently I found out you don't even need to buy de novo games anymore, so Egon past me's face. The sacrifice is always the waiting time, waiting until I finally get a free spot and can launch the game up. Anyway, RE9 is pretty great. Was it overhyped? Well, of course it is. But we've finally got a great game again, so thank God Capcom exists. They actually want to be paid, unlike companies like Ubisoft. However, for every 3 things that are great about this game, there is at least one fatal flaw. Let's get into it while not spoiling the entire damn game, shall we? Right off the rip, the FOV in this game is fucking disgusting. I have no idea why they even thought having half the vision of every other shooter was a good idea. It is pure hubris. I think it's cool how well they did the new character Grace. It feels like a good survival horror. The clinic section at the beginning is the best part in the entire game, hands down. It honestly doesn't get any better. I would do a Groundhog Day as Grace over and over again in there if I could. However, not being able to see a fucking thing on my screen because the screen is so goddamn zoomed in almost made me quit right then and there. Thank God for modders, as always, doing the dev's job for them and throwing an FOV mod together. Now you aren't forced to play her in third person because of how god awful it looks. Only problem is you can get really bright god rays in some cutscenes because they intended the camera angles to be super zoomed in and ugly. So remember to turn the mod off if it's your first playthrough to see the cutscenes, and then once the cutscenes are over, turn it back on so you can actually see your fucking arms again. Next point, performance. I think the beginning of the game is beautiful. I think within reason they did an amazing job optimizing this game. They pushed the limits of the engine and made everything look almost perfect. Alright, you heard all that, right? Because I'm about to tear this game a new one. The last third of this game has completely garbage optimization, and that entirely revolves around how much happens on the screen at one time, destroying your frames. I went from using everything on Ultra with a 9070 XT to lowering it all the way down to normal and playing detective trying to figure out what the problem was. I found it, so listen up. Go into the graphics settings and change the mesh quality to low and just run it like that, it will be perfect. I have no idea what they did to fuck up the mesh rendering so much, but do yourself a favor and save those frames from that massive load. Alright, now that that's done, I can start praising the game. The combat in this one is amazing as either character. Even though Grace is a weak, wimpy bitch, she fills that role perfectly, and as long as you don't use that pathetic butter knife on anything, you'll have fun. However, in the exact same way as Leon, she encounters the overpowered syndrome after a bit. While by the middle of the game with Leon, you basically have far too much stims, ammo, and guns that you literally cannot use them all. I am not kidding, I ended up saving up my Requiem ammo until the very end of the game, and literally unloaded into the final 2 bosses back to back and won both within seconds. Grace feels the same way, whereby by the end you have so much items and ammo you throw caution to the wind and kill literally everything. You cannot run out of ammo if you have a stockpile. Does this make them less fun? God no. I think slaughtering everything is an amazing power trip. Pair the combat with a story that is just serious enough while being able to be so tropey that it's funny. It is a great time. The story was predictable, with characters doing such stupid things at times. It made me feel like I was watching a fucking comedy movie. That doesn't mean I hate it. I just don't think it's the perfect survival horror game, let alone the perfect Resident Evil game. I think this game needed more bloating, which is a very weird thing for me to say, but the fact is, one of the main antagonists does literally nothing the whole game other than act like a creep until the very end. There is another baddie that doesn't even show up until the last third of the game. I've always been one to smash through games, and I don't trust the skill level of journos, but when several people I trust their opinion of tell me it'll be an 11 to 12 hour playthrough, and I smash it down on classic difficulty, and 9 is ridiculous. It was nowhere near hard enough, and I wasted a lot of my time in the playthrough, so I know I could have done it even faster if I tried. Which is why I'm doing it all over again in Insanity mode, which feels a lot better. There are a lot of stupid things like forced events that are made to be like 3 times longer, which is lame as fuck. However, the hardness of it is like it was made for me. When all is said and done, you probably might give this an 8 out of 10 honestly, if you don't mind all the issues. I give it a 7. There's a fair few things that could have been better, like the characters jumping side to side while running if you're using mouse and keyboard. Shout out to my boy Jakey, he's awesome. However, there's an amazing game here with classic good combat and a story that doesn't take itself too seriously, which can be seen as good and bad. Honestly, give it a try. It is an amazing game and is popular for a good reason. And if you're hesitant to spend the huge amount of money on it, just get it for free. Because fuck Denuvo. Thank you all for spending this time with me. This video has been a lot more emotional than I am used to, but I guess that goes to show how much I cared about the experience. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.